Good morning, everybody. It is Saturday morning. We did get a fair bit of rain last night, enough to make things pretty wet here in town. I'm not sure how much the farm got. We'll find out when we get out there today. But it is enough to put a little water in the puddles, dampen everything down, which is really nice. Be a little cooler today. I don't think it's quite going to reach 70. And then the rest of the week, it's supposed to be mid-70s to upper 70s, which is ideal for growing things. The sun's peeking right there. The trees. So anyways, we're gonna get the day started today and see what's going on. Well, hello, out at the farm. A little windy this morning. That's okay when you're mulching. It's actually not a bad thing. It tends to blow the debris away from the machine. We'll get some rain, so it won't be too dusty, which is good. Got a little repair to do. Okay, down. And I don't know, a few weeks ago a stick came up and popped the rubber latch, so it's supposed to be right there. So a couple of little screws hold it in on the back side. So I'll prop the camera up here and see if I can show that. In reality, it is just a little rubber latch on an inspection cover. As far as breakage, we really haven't had anything. We had the side window we had to put in, and that was our fault for ramming a stick through it. This, which, you know, is just luck of the draw. 300 hours of mulching and, you know, plastic rubber bungee strap breaking. You know, air filters, oil change, grease. I don't know, what do you think? Kind of mesmerizing to watch the mulcher wind down after you're shutting it off. When you see what that thing can do and it's spinning, it definitely gives you a healthy respect for what it's capable of doing. And to steer clear of it, for sure. Okay, this has been part of today's project. Turned out to be a pretty nice day. Relatively windy, but that keeps the mosquitoes at bay. Once again, the ritual of fueling the equipment. It is always thirsty. But the extra fuel tanks on this model are a great advantage. The regular one, it's hard to run more than 8 hours without having to refuel it. The capacity on this one will almost go 12 or 14 hours on a fill-up at wide open throttle with a heavy load. And the extra fuel capacity in the back of the skid steer does help counteract that heavy mulcher head. It acts as ballast, which is pretty nice too. Well, looks like the fueling's done. That didn't take too long. Well, here's a little walk through the corn, let you know what it's looking like. Not super exciting, but an interesting viewpoint anyways. It is growing, it is getting bigger. It is such a fascinating plant to grow, and it grows so fast. You can almost watch it grow. You get some of the most beautiful views out at the farm and interesting scenery. Good morning, everybody. Hope you're having a great day. It's a nice, quiet Sunday morning here in the big town of Nenana. We have a new city square. Very exciting. The city's put a lot of work into that. Next weekend's a big celebration here in Nenana. It's dual centennials. There's the completion of the Alaska Railroad here in Nenana, and then also the first flight from Fairbanks to Nenana. So it'll be a big event with lots of people, lots of stuff going on. See what we can get in the way of footage of that. Just a hair after 7 in the morning, headed out to the farm. Swing in and get a little go-go juice for the truck and head out to the farm. Okay, so periodically, every few days, once a week, depends how dry and dusty it is, how much debris, we need to blow some stuff out, blow out the radiator. Just gets plugged up with dust and other plant matter. So blow that out, blow things off a little bit, part of the ritual. And people may say, why not use water? You have the pump, you have irrigation. Well, the problem is the water, the dust and the water and the sticks and whatnot all cement together. So you're going to have hard, crusty stuff that's really difficult to deal with. They're not, the engine itself and other things, not super worried if it has dust on it or light dirt. The motor doesn't care. The biggest thing is making sure the radiator, the AC condenser, and the cooler for the hydraulics can stay cold. That's the big part. As far as the aesthetics of the motor and stuff, a little dust on it's not going to hurt it, and it doesn't care about that a bit. You just want to be able to see enough to watch for leaks, loose hoses, wires, anything like that. Part of your maintenance check. Yeah, we'll get the rest of this blown off, and you get it greased and fired up, and get to mulching. So we have a tendency to fuel it in the evening, and we shut down. The next guy coming in doesn't have to worry about fueling it, or the truck with fuel may not be here when somebody's here to run it. But the grease gun's always on property. There's DEF always on property, and the basic tools to fix things is always here. Yeah. Okay, greasing is every 8 hours. This one may get it actually a little bit more. With all the different operators, everybody tends to make sure that they grease it, so it won't get greased again after this morning for today, but generally after a full day, if George comes out and works it in the evening, he may grease it again because it already had worked an 8-hour day. So it gets worked on that shift, and then The next morning, when me or if Dave's out, we'll get another. It doesn't take much. You don't need to grease it till it comes squirting out everywhere and makes a big mess. Really, I think I've said this before a few times. This one is easy to service. She's all greased up, fueled from last night. Def is full. We blew out the filters, blew out the radiator, fired up, let it warm up a little bit. And then we're going to get the fertilizer going on the corn, some irrigation on that. We'll get her done. Okay, pretty simple stuff. First thing I want to do is I want to rinse out this barrel. Just since it's been setting for basically a week, it may have debris in it, and that inductor for the fertilizer injector does not like getting debris in it, so I'll plug it up. Okay, so that's that. Try to rinse the hose off. Okay. Okay, update on the corn. Some of it's doing really good, some of it's doing kind of good, and some of it's not so good. In front of me, you can see some small plants that are just not doing well. Depending on where it is in the field, how many sticks there were, how well it was prepared. We did rototill this pretty good. I did give it a fair bit of fertilizer at the start, but we did have an extremely cool, wet, weird spring. That's even for the interior. That was a setback. And then also the ground being brand new ground, it was definitely is a challenge putting it in the first crop. But this is all learning. This will help us out with next year's planting. We probably will not plant corn in this location. There's much better land on the farm to plant. But at the time that we cleared, we just didn't know that. I mean, it was literally a goat trail in here. We hogged out a big enough spot, tried to get it in as soon as possible. So there was actually still ice in places when we were planting this corn. So next year will be an entirely different year and a different program, which is fine. But the corn is responding really well to the fertilizer. We have a whole week of 70 plus days projected, which is really good. So there's a good potential this will yield some corn. It definitely will not be an outstanding crop by any means, but given what we've had to do to get to this point, pretty pleased with it. And one thing about this, every year is a learning curve. We never ever ever do something without learning and making it better. So okay, I guess enough about that. I need to finish up this irrigating and get it rolling, and then we'll move on. Okay, while I was doing a corn video, all kinds of things stuck to it. And yes, that's a wrench on the bottom to try to hold it down on the bottom. And yes, probably do need to put a shutoff valve on that, but we only have probably 3 more weeks of irrigating, maybe 4. And then we're done with irrigating and that's set up. I need to go make sure the valves are open in the right place. And this will run till the generator runs out of gas, about 4.5 hours, maybe 5. Put it into the corn, which is exactly what we want. And they're not projecting any real rain for the next week, so we'll make sure we stay up on our irrigation. Talking about those corn plants, again, some not so good. We would like them all to look like this guy. That's about right for this time of year. There's a chance some of these are going to catch up. Give them plenty of nutrients and water and some heat. They will more than likely come around. There's a lot of them that definitely are too far behind, and that's okay. We have learned so much this year. We'll put that into play next year. Sun's starting to come out. It was a little cool this morning, like 47 degrees. But the high today is projected to be 70, 72, and pushing 80 by midweek. Okay. Well, there's an example of a Gatsby that's looking pretty good. Tassel's starting to come out. Now, as you've seen in the previous episodes, this is the Gatsby. It is a much shorter statute field corn than the sweet corn. These guys are only going to be 18 inches to 2 foot tall when they're fully mature. So yep, it's appropriate for them to start tasseling at this point in their life. Given when this video was made, there was somewhere between 50 and 60 growing days left before possible frost. These stand a very good chance of making corn. Potatoes are growing. I warmed up the skid steer, shut it off so I could talk to you guys. Pump's running. Guess we'll go make some toothpicks out of brush. Dave's running the mulcher now, so I got a little free time. So I was going to walk out and take a look at the work we've gotten done so far. Turned out to be a warm day for sure, but very nice. Well, this is looking pretty good. We really need to run over it one more time with the mulcher. Need to run around and pick up some of these logs that are hanging out. But it has gotten so dry that if we run the mulcher out here, it just stirs up a huge cloud of dust. So really need to wait for a little bit of rain to wet things down before we get crazy on getting this finished. And at this stage, we could run it over with the disc as well. So, check that out. Cow and a calf came through. They are all over in the area. You would think that mulcher making noise would scare them off, but apparently they're not too bothered by it. So we've gotten a lot done, but there is an awful lot left to do. And we still have about 3 months. We should be able to go into mid-October. A lot of it's going to depend on weather, how it does. If it doesn't get much snow and the temperatures stay relatively warm, we can work until it shuts us down. But any kind of super cold temperatures or a fairly significant snowfall, 6 inches, a foot or more, then it not a lot of point in trying to clear. And then we'll have to wait till spring. Have new teeth coming for the mulcher. They should be here next week. We've been using the carbide teeth, which are extremely tough, which is nice. And we have a set of chisel teeth coming, which hopefully will do a little bit better job in this smaller birch trees and willows. I know the sun's right in your... The hammer teeth or carbide teeth, they do get it. It just bogs it down a little bit and they tend to tangle up. So we're gonna switch teeth next week. Try something different. The downside to the chisel, there's no metal or rocks out here, so that helps with that. But they'll need to be sharpened periodically, either daily. Here's a fair bit of what was done yesterday. That's the part that the dozer skidded the logs out of the way. And you really can just run over that with the mulcher without even having to do anything. But it's so dry and kicks up so much dust, that'll just need to wait for some wetter weather. We'll come through and collect these logs either with the dozer or with the grapple. Go stack them. These little islands of trees are kind of nice. I don't see any reason to remove them unless we absolutely have to. Nice to have a shady spot to have lunch. Give the birds somewhere to go. And this was this morning's project. Plus I ran some cuts through as we're starting to break this up, this next section. Again, there's some logs left. Just didn't want to take the time to try to mulch them up. They'll collect pretty easily and pile. So there's a few advantages to putting corn on the higher part of the ridge. One, it'll be sooner to plant, less snow, warmer, faster, quicker, better drainage, not as cold, all of those things. And then you have a season extension into the fall because it's higher. Because it's higher, the cold weather will tend to drain off into the swamp. Different moose tracks. And this is a fairly sizable hill. Oh, probably 20 foot, 25 foot. And around here, that's a big deal. So what your terrain's like and where you're planting does matter. It's definitely not all just put it anywhere and hope it grows. Every piece of property has microclimates and different habitats. George has been working on this. Got a pretty good size area cleared. It's got some trails punched through. The lake is over that way a little ways. So again, this is what it's like everywhere on this hill. So this is called Rush Road. It's the road that boundaries the property. They're going to start working on this road here in the fall. Kind of getting a jump on it. We're a little ways away from being over here clearing, but it won't be long. So I'm going to go ahead and we're 50-foot setback is what the right-of-way is. So I'm pacing off 50 foot to get us close, but that way when we're clearing we don't get too close to the road right away. And this brush actually does make a pretty nice buffer and a fence because it's pretty nasty to get through. So anyways, 17 paces is roughly 50 feet for me. So off I go. And by no means is that super accurate. Is not the gospel. It's so that when we're mulching, we'll see a flag and kind of go, oh, we're close, and stop there. This is currently what the road looks like. A little bit of traffic. There's a few people using it. The state will be putting in a 16-foot wide all-weather road. So that's exciting. Okay, to put things in perspective, that in the center of the screen is the quarry over by Nenana. That's where all the rock is coming from for the road. All the trucks that come by all day long. That's where it has to come from. Very impressive. There's a very good possibility these little outcroppings of trees, when there's just a handful, more than likely we'll take them out. Trees in the middle of a field are just an irritation. The bigger, denser, older trees, we'll hang on to those. And I'm sure we'll plant a few. Not sure I've shown any of the peppers. And these are Carolina Reapers. They're flowering. This is George's project. I believe there's a couple of apples on here. We'll see if they make. It's so cold here in the winter, it's very hard to get apples to do. Cherries are starting to turn a little red. Belle, no. Stay out of the garden. You know better. Go on, Belle. No. Good girl. What you think, Dusty? Hot dog. There's the pumpkins, the sunflowers, and the corn. Chives are always so pretty. There's a little bird that's not happy with me. The corn planted in the garden was planted on the same day as the corn planted at the farm. The ground has just been worked better and is more fertile. Well, we sure appreciate everybody watching all our videos, and from everybody out here at the farm, hope to see you next week. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.